Today, we are diving deep into one of the internet's most hidden corners, the dark web. But this isn't just about the technology, it's really about this constant, high-stakes game of cat and mouse between investigators and those who believe they're perfectly, completely anonymous. And this quote, man, it just nails the central challenge here. You have to understand, the dark web isn't some fixed place. It's this chaotic, ever-changing ecosystem. So for law enforcement, it's this weird paradox. It's a huge hub for crime, but it's also an incredibly valuable source of intelligence that could literally just poof, vanish in an instant. So before we get into how it's cracked, we first have to understand why it's such a massive target in the first place. The very same anonymity that criminals just flock to, well, that's exactly what makes the dark web this raw, uncensored window into their world. And the scale we're talking about here, it's just staggering. Get this. A single site, one called Boytown, had 400,000 registered users before this huge international operation finally took it down. So we're not talking about some small, niche corner of the internet. This is a sprawling digital underground. So what exactly makes this a goldmine for intelligence agencies? Well, they can get early warnings on massive data breaches before they even hit the news. They can track brand new criminal tactics as they're being developed. They can see these zero-day software exploits being sold in real time. But all of this, it's all in service of their ultimate goal, figuring out who the people are behind the keyboard. So how in the world does this whole shadow world stay hidden? Let's peel back the layers on the core technology that makes it all possible. This incredible digital shield known as Tor. Tor actually stands for the Onion Router. And look, it's designed to do one thing, and do it really, really well. Anonymous communication. It basically takes your internet traffic and just bounces it all over the globe through this massive network of computers run entirely by volunteers. The whole point is to hide your location and what you're doing from anyone who might be watching. The real genius of how Tor works is explained perfectly by this three spies analogy. Okay, so imagine this. Your connection gets sent through at least 3 random computers, or nodes. The first spy, the guard node, knows the message came from you, but has absolutely no idea where it's going. The last spy, the exit node, knows the final destination, but has no clue who sent it. And that spy stuck in the middle? They only know the 2 spies they're passing the message between. This separation of knowledge is the secret sauce. It's what makes Tor's anonymity so powerful. And that is exactly why it's called the Onion Router. It's a perfect metaphor. Just like a real onion, your data gets wrapped up in all these different layers of encryption. Each computer your data hops to can only peel back a single layer, just enough to know where to send it next, without ever revealing the full path from you all the way to your destination. Pretty clever, right? Okay, so this sounds pretty bulletproof. But if Tor is so robust, how do intelligence agencies ever find the cracks in its armor? Well, this is where the real cat and mouse game truly begins. I mean, that's the fundamental question, isn't it? You can't just trace an IP address like in the movies. It doesn't work that way. Instead, investigators have to become these digital detectives, piecing together tiny, seemingly unrelated clues from all over the place, to finally unmask the person behind the screen. The Boytown takedown is the perfect case study for this. It wasn't one single trick, it was this multi-year, multi-pronged attack. You had agents going undercover in chat rooms, doing something as simple as just logging what times people were active. At the same time, they were using this super sophisticated technique called a guard discovery attack to figure out the first hop in the admin's connections. Once they had that, boom, they hit the internet service provider with a court order and started correlating the chat times with the traffic data to finally pinpoint their targets. But here's the kicker. The crucial point is that this massive, multi-year operation really hinged on one tiny, critical mistake. The targets were using an old, outdated version of a chat client, and that old version just happened to be vulnerable to that guard discovery attack. It just goes to show you how a single, tiny flaw can unravel an entire anonymous operation. So, knowing all these risks, how does an investigator even operate safety in an environment like this? Let's take a look at the playbook they have to use to gather all this intelligence without getting compromised themselves. The number one rule, above all else, is operational security, or OPSEC, because one moment of sloppiness can blow an investigator's real identity completely. And honestly, the best way to understand good OPSEC is to look at some really, really bad OPSEC. You had Ross Ulbricht, the creator of Silk Road, reusing an old alias and logging into the site from a cafe right near his apartment. Or Alexander Sizos, the admin of Alphabet, who put his personal email address with his real name in it in the site's welcome message. Investigators, they live by the total opposite rules. Unique, sterile identities for every single case, never ever mixing personal and operational data, and just absolute compartmentalization. Now, to avoid making those mistakes, they use some pretty specialized tools. The two big ones are Wannix and Tails. Wannix is fantastic for those long-term deep cover investigations. It actually uses two separate virtual machines to keep all your network activity totally isolated. Tails, on the other hand, is what they call amnesic. It runs entirely off a USB stick and leaves absolutely zero trace on the computer you're using, which makes it perfect for those quick, high-risk sessions where you need to get in and get out clean. Alright, for our final section, let's zoom all the way out and look at the biggest picture here, because this isn't just about individual criminals and individual investigators anymore. This is a strategic conflict, and it's being fought on the very infrastructure of the internet itself. The most sophisticated attacks out there, they don't target a single laptop, they target the entire network. A powerful state-level agency can run what are called correlation attacks, basically watching tons of traffic enter the Tor network in one country and exit in another, and then using statistics to connect the dots. They can literally hijack internet routing. Think of it like changing the road signs on a highway to divert all the traffic past their own servers. They can even set up their own poisoned Tor nodes to spy on any data that happens to pass through them. And this really is the critical takeaway. It's kind of chilling, actually. The creators of Tor themselves have acknowledged its ultimate limitation. Sure, it provides incredibly powerful protection against someone trying to target you specifically, but it was never designed to withstand an adversary who can see and analyze pretty much all internet traffic, all the time, all across the entire globe. Which leaves us with this one final, really provocative question. In a world where surveillance capabilities are just growing exponentially, where AI can analyze data at a scale we can barely even comprehend, is the very idea of true, unbreakable digital anonymity slowly becoming a relic of the past? You know, that's a question that really defines the future of privacy, not just for criminals or investigators, but for all of us.